The story begins with a group from the team of explorers who sailed to the South Atlantic, Oceania. There was a weather officer named David who was responsible for the weather. He tells the story of an island where they lived. We're heading towards the middle of the ocean. Was present. The government had placed David there because he was sent there to experience the changing weather of that island. David was able to observe I had to stay there for a year. Weather data. To collect weather data throughout the year. After collecting it, return it back. David had enough food and supplies for a year. All the supplies were delivered. Several days' journey. After that, he finally reached the island. People landed on the island using boats. The island was completely deserted. Even the bird was not visible. A lighthouse and a small house on the island. Where David had to live. Because earlier also a weather officer named Robert was here. He used to live there. But now it's time for his duty. It was over. He spent a year alone in that house. Collected weather data while staying on the island. Now in his place David is here all year round. Will be there to collect data and that. The old officer went back with Robert's ship. But when the entire team visited the house. When he did, he was surprised because there was no one there. There was no sign of a human being either. All the old officer's belongings are here inside. Was scattered there. After which the captain and David thought that maybe someone was in the lighthouse. Maybe. The captain and David leave in no time. Gamway moves towards the lighthouse and everyone sees a strange sight there. Let's see the whole lighthouse bright and surrounded by sharp sticks as if may have deliberately closed it so that no one could not even get in. After which the captain and David knocked on the lighthouse gate several times. I did it, but there was no response from inside. Finally, they slammed the gate shut. Pushed and got inside of the lighthouse. Inside they found a man named Gruner. Was 18. When he met Gruner, he was older than. When asked about Weather Officer Robert, he replied that he was dead. Went to the sea but never returned. He did not return. Hearing Gruner's words, both David and the captain were shocked. After listening, the captain said to David, "If you can still come back with us if you want." But David refused to go back. David wondered if he could get the government to was able to provide accurate weather reports of the island. So he can get a huge amount of money. Later the captain gave him a gun of his own for protection, and the captain asked David. Said, "This place doesn't seem safe to me. Stay. Take care of yourself." After this, he was told there. But they all left and went back, and now he will be back in a year. After leaving, David settled the house a bit. Made it habitable. After nightfall. Later he found a diary in the drawer which was Weather Officer Robert. In that diary, a lot was written about the island. The diary contains a story about a mysterious creature. Some things were written in it, but everything. It wasn't clear. Some things were incomplete. David. I carefully read each line of the diary. Sketches of some strange animals in. David didn't understand what he had done. Why did he make such pictures? Perhaps I was alone and did this to pass the time. On one page of the diary, the old officer. There was also a photo of his wife. David kept that diary. He got tired of reading and slowly his eyes started closing. The next morning, David looked up weather data. Started collecting. But the sea. His steps stopped as he approached. I noticed that some stones among the rocks looked strange. Decorated in a manner and with shells between them. In strange patterns, David thought. Perhaps Gruner did all this. He was thinking. He got back to his work. While he looked through binoculars at the lighthouse. When I saw him, there was another man along with Gruner. He appeared, but disappeared in the blink of an eye. It's done. David waited to see her again. Tried, but then he felt it was his. It's a delusion. David is busy at work at night. Then there was a knock on the door. He thought. It's probably Gruner. David named him. I called out but got no answer. In my hand. As David headed towards the door with the lamp. As he grew older, he heard some strange sounds in his ears. It started echoing, which was not at all like that of a human being. It wasn't there, and then he looked under the gate. Some strange creature's hand coming in. He's trying. That human hand is absolutely. Seeing this, David fell under his feet. The ground shook. He immediately headed for the basement. He ran and hid there. For a while. I saw that mysterious creature enter the house. She was secretly looking for David. T and David were in a little crevice of the basement. David started looking at him. The creature spots David. After which. He rushes to kill creature David. Ran towards him and tried to catch him through the crack. David tried to save himself. Immediately pick up a knife and thrust it into his eye. Crutcher screamed and ran away. But he could come back at any time and be on David's mind. It was confirmed that what was written in the diary, what was written about Crutcher, is true. He couldn't sleep the whole night out of fear. When David went out in the morning, he saw sand. But I saw some footprints that belonged to a human being. There were no marks at all. Those marks were straight. David is now finished going towards the sea. Everyone understood why Gruner had lit. Sharp sticks were placed around the house. Now David knows that if I stay in this house, if I stay, that crusher will kill me anytime. David looks towards the lighthouse in fear. Runs towards the side and shouts to Gruner. Open the gate, I want to come in. But Gruner doesn't let him in and says, you should have returned with the ship. David returns disappointed because the crooner don't see him even close to the lighthouse. He wanted to. He poured water over her and gave her. He tells her to go away. Now she has to do something herself. He had to do it. He had to clean every window in the house. Closed with wood. Sharp edges all around. A fence was made with sticks and outside the gate. He placed old papers and books on them. Well, so that if that crutcher comes back, so that he can be driven away by frightening him with fire. There was one thing David didn't know yet. And he was going to find out tonight. Luckily he found an old one inside the house. The box was found. Inside it was a gun and too many bullets. Seeing him alive, there was a little hope of survival. As the sun began to set, and David's fear grew. It seemed that in a short while, night had descended all around. Darkness fell. David returned home with his gun in his hand. He was sitting quietly in a corner of the house. His heart was beating fast. Then a strange sound came. And when David hid by the window, when he looked towards the sea, it was as if his feet, the ground beneath him, shifted. He saw that. Not just one, but many from the water. The same strange creatures were moving towards him. In a short while they all gathered together. Started trying to break the door of the room. David immediately opened fire. Some of these creatures fell and died. David thought he heard the gunshot. Later they will run away in fear. But there, seeing his comrades dying, he became even more. He became increasingly angry. Then David also planned adopting the papers and sets old books on fire. Fire. Seeing this, those creatures returned to the sea in fear. They returned in. But now the same fire had struck David's house. The fire had reached the door of the house. Took hold and slowly began to spread because the entire house was made of wood. David. Immediately wrap yourself in a sheet and. He saved his life and came out and reached the lighthouse. He hid behind a big stone nearby. David's hands while shooting creatures. I also suffered a serious injury. Then suddenly a sharp. It started raining. The fire slowly died down. But even after the rain all night. By morning, David was unable to save his house. The entire house had been reduced to ashes. Now if David wants to survive, he must reach the lighthouse. I must take shelter in. He picked up his rifle. And among the stones near the lighthouse. Hid and waited for Gruner too. When Gruner comes to fill the water. David came out of the lighthouse. He followed him. But then suddenly a strange creature that was near Gruner. He attacked David. But someone. David managed to control him. The creature was Gruner's protector when he found him. Was about to shoot, Gruner immediately stopped David and said, "Wait, this is a pet." David did not shoot and, taking advantage of the opportunity, he also put a condition: if this creature was brought back alive. If you want to keep me, let me stay in the lighthouse. Let it go. Otherwise I will kill it. Later, Gruner agreed because there was plenty of food and gunpowder. Before leaving, both of them took the remaining food. They returned to the lighthouse and both of them slept peacefully. The next morning, the creature quietly returned to David's home, licking his hand. When David woke up, he saw that the reason for this creature licking his hand has since completely healed. David was astonished by all this. More about this creature from Kroner. Wanted to know, and then all this to the world. Wanted to bring it forward because it was like magic. David wondered if we bring the secret of the creature to the world. So David and Kroner both have a lot of. You'll earn money and fame, but Kroner. He didn't want all this. He left this island. Kroner had nowhere to go. There was no one left in the world. The island was perfect. Where he could find himself in a. King understood and was master of his own will. For this reason he created many parts of the island. Kroner is king here. But David did not understand that. How this strange creature crooned like a waste bunny? So the crooner told that once the crooner had saved his life. He accidentally. It was caught in a fishing net. Was little, and from that day on she was with Kroner. She stayed with him and started obeying his every word. But Kroner was a tough guy. He treated the creature very badly. Kroner gets physical with this creature every day. Kroner said that this creature even attacked me once. And in return, Kroner punished him like this. That after that punishment, that creature will automatically. She started considering me a slave of the Kroner and all of you too. You must have understood that every night those creatures. Why do they come out of the sea? All of them. So come to make your partner a crooner. Get him released and take him back. But Kroner. He doesn't let that happen. Those creatures of the day. Can't attack in the daylight because the light burns his skin. David. He didn't want to stay here anymore. He wants to escape the island in some way. It was evening, and Kroner said to her. Said get ready with your gun because creatures can attack at any time. Ready to turn on the lighthouse lights. And in a short time it became bigger than the sea. A number of creatures came out. They were moving towards the lighthouse. Kroner continued to fire at them. But David was completely terrified. The lighthouse began to move in. Kroner. Despite repeated requests, he just stood in a corner. I sat quietly and in a short while. David fainted. Kroner all night. Akela continued to fight these creatures. The next morning. Kroner angrily punched David in the face. He poured water on him, lifted him up and said, If If you want to survive, kill them. Otherwise, you'll be thrown out of the lighthouse. And you must obey my every word. Bring water daily. Lighthouse. To do small and big tasks and stay with me at night. He'll also have to do guard duty. Now David's. There was no other option. That's why. He felt compelled to do all this. David now. He agreed to everything Kroner said, but one thing. What he didn't like at all was this. That every day that female creature had to be given a different physical torture in various ways. Night would pass. Both are back on guard duty. Get ready, and once again that crutcher. They come out of the sea. But today, David wasn't afraid. He saw Crutcher. But today Kroner is nothing. He wasn't doing it. He left David outside. Closes the gate of the lighthouse and himself sits quietly inside so that David himself to learn how to fight these creatures. He goes. Similarly, while fighting David, the night passes and morning comes. Kroner observed that the gate of David lighthouse. He was sitting outside covered in blood. Now I learned how to do this from these creatures. We have to fight. Time passed like this. Nights. Fighting these creatures and all day long. Managing to work at Kroner's lighthouse. This island is now like a closed house for him. He was always thinking about when it will leave this place and breathe a sigh of freedom. Along with David's conversation with that female creature. A strange friendship had formed. David. He started to feel bad for her. Now he understood. I felt like leaving my people and being alone. How difficult it is. Perhaps that creature. She felt the same way. David. The creature was also given a name, Anarius. Days went by like this, and then one day. He observed that the attacks of these creatures slowly fading away. David thinks. Maybe he would go somewhere else in the winter. Or perhaps they understood that nothing will be achieved by fighting these two. But Kroner told him that it was absolutely no. They'll attack again. Now they are increasing their numbers. A few more days like this. One night after dinner, Kroner and David started playing chess to pass the time. But here's a big one from Kroner. It was a mistake. They both got so caught up in the game that he forgot to turn on the lighthouse lights. The creatures took advantage of the darkness. Attacked them. David saw that the number of creatures was so large that people can't fight together for long. And this time he had no plans. The gun's bullets were almost gone. It had happened. Somehow, she managed to escape and keep the light on. He reached the top of the house. But in the meantime, Kroner suffered a serious leg injury. The creatures had overpowered them today. He felt that his death was certain today. But luckily, it was morning. As soon as the sun rose, slowly emerges that creature's light. Leaving the house and returning to the sea. After the scorching sun, Anarius tries to heal Kroner's wounds. But by now David had understood that he will win this fight with these creatures. I can't. I'm running out of bullets now. It's close. They don't even have enough food so that it can last longer. Luckily, the day David wandered outside the lighthouse. While he was roaming around, he saw a ship in the sea. He quickly brought a flare gun from inside and went to signal the ship. But Kroner stopped him because he didn't want to. That David should go away. At that moment, Anarius attacked Kroner. He killed David. Kroner wanted to save her from someone. He also did not want to let me leave this island. This island was his own world where he could. He lived like a king. He also knew David. I didn't want to give in. Alone for so long. After living, he now had someone with whom he could talk, and if David was on that ship. When he went back, he went there and made everyone angry. And he will tell you about them. So now, David can't leave. Slowly the ship sails before David's eyes. She disappeared. Now she had nothing to do. There was no. A few more days passed like this. Kroner still belongs to both David and Anarius. Was treating him badly. But Anarius. He especially hit the one who killed David. I didn't like it at all. One day David gifted Anarius a small toy boat, which he had made from the bone of a fish. But when Anarius saw the boat, he took David to a corner of the island, where there was actually a real boat. When David asked Kroner about this boat, he said yes, he already knew that. There is a boat in this part of the island. Kroner says that some people even reach the island. He had come to save his life by boat. But before morning none of them would be alive. No one survived. These creatures killed everyone. They were all carrying ammunition in the ship. But due to a storm at sea, the ship sank near this island. As soon as he heard this, an idea came to David's mind. He had something like a diving suit. David said that if either of us, someone wearing that suit, can go to that part of the sea. If I go to where that ship sank, it might be. Got them some bullets or dynamite. So that it becomes easier to fight these creatures. But Kroner refused to accept this. He refused, but David threatened his life. I was willing to put this work in something else. Days passed like this. A deep connection developed between them. David. He started liking them. The two of them had a romantic relationship. All this while the crooner secretly watched. Kroner felt Anarius snatch him away. So get David out of the way. The next day, the crooner himself spoke to David. He agrees to give in. He tells David. He says, okay, you wear your suit and go down to the water. You'll go in and there's a lot of RDX there. Then I'll take you up the boat. But Kroner's real. He had other plans. He wanted David to. With his help, dynamite was placed under the sea. Brought the boxes back to the surface and then leave him alone in the sea. So that the creatures can kill him. Dynamite will also come to him and Anarius will become her slave again. Both of them got into the boat and reached the place where the ship was submerged. David dived, put on the suit and went down to the sea. After leaving, David saw that the ship was completely devastated, but her fate is shattered. It was good that he got some boxes of dynamite. They met. But then suddenly some creature appeared behind him. David appeared. Upon seeing the creatures, he panicked and fell down. He was driving. The suit was so heavy that he could not even move. And also gave David Kroner the signal above. Kroner thought he might be. The creatures have killed David. But actually, they were just two small children. David somehow managed to put on his diving suit. Left it there and raised myself to the surface. He found some old boxes there. Found items containing dynamite. The two set to work. They set up a lighthouse. Dynamite was laid in 2 layers around. So that when the next attack comes, they will be able to